2009 in poetry. Nationality words linked to articles with information on the nation's poetry or literature, for instance, Irish or France. Events. January 5, the Turkish government announces it will posthumously restore the citizenship it had stripped from influential poet Nazım Hikmet. January 20, poet Elizabeth Alexander reads praise song for the day at presidential inauguration of President Barack Obama. March 16, Nicholas Hughes, 47, son of the poets Ted Hughes, who later became the British Poet Laureate, and Sylvia Plath, who famously committed suicide in 1963 when her son was a year old, hangs himself in his home in Alaska. He had suffered from depression. May 1, Carol Ann Duffy is appointed Poet Laureate of the United Kingdom, the first woman appointed to the position in its 341-year history, a position that has been held by, among others, John Dryden, whom Charles Roman II named the first official Poet Laureate, Tennyson, Wordsworth, Cecil Day Lewis, and Ted Hughes. Duffy is also the first Scot and the first openly gay occupant of the post. May 5, posthumous publication of J.R.R. Tolkien's narrative poem The Legend of Sigurd and Gudrun in alliterative verse based on the 13th century Poetic Edda and probably written in the 1930s. May 16 and May 25, Ruth Padel becomes the first female ever elected professor of poetry at the University of Oxford, but resigns 9 days later after she is alleged to have been involved in what some sources refer to as a smear campaign against Derek Walcott, her leading rival for the post. July 30, Last Post, a poem by Carol Ann Duffy, the Poet Laureate of the United Kingdom, is read on the BBC Radio 4 programme Today. Commissioned by the BBC to mark the deaths of Henry Allingham and Harry Patch, two of the last three surviving British veterans of the World War I, it is read on the day of Allingham's funeral. September 18, the film Bright Star, about John Keats and his relationship with Fanny Brawne, is released in the United States, and on November 6 in the United Kingdom. The film's title is a reference to a sonnet by Keats, Bright Star, Would I Were Steadfast as Thou Art, written at the time of the love affair. Jane Campion directed the movie. A Room and a Half, a Russian film directed by Andrei Kozhanovsky and based on the life of Russian-American poet Joseph Brodsky, is released. It is distributed in the United States in 2010. Works published in English. Listed by nation where the work was first published and again by the poet's native land, if different, substantially revised works listed separately. Australia. Robert Adamson, The Best Australian Poems, Black Ink. ISBN 978-186,395-452-5. Anthology including works by Ivy Alvarez, Judith Beveridge, Sarah K. Bell, Jen Jewel Brown, and Elve, Lisa Gorton, Clive James, Les Murray, Dorothy Porter, Peter Porter, Thomas Shapcott, Alex Scavron, John Tranter, and Chris Wallace Crabb. Stephen Edgar, Other Summers, 109 pp. Melbourne. Black Pepper, ISBN 978-1876-1044-62-6. Jennifer Harrison and Kate Waterhouse, editors, Motherlode, Australian Women's Poetry 1986-2008, 120 poets represented, 342 pp. Glebe, New South Wales, Puncher and Watman, ISBN 978-1921450-7. Anthology. Emma Jones, The Striped World, winner of the 2009 Arts Queensland Judith Wright Callan Award, Faber and Faber. Martin Langford. Editor, Harbour City Poems, Sydney in Verse 1788-2008, Glebe, New South Wales, Puncher and Watman, ISBN 978-1921450 45017-4, Anthology. The Human Project, New and Selected Poems. John Kinsella, The Penguin Anthology of Australian Poetry, Penguin Group, Australia. Les Murray, Killing the Black Dog, Black Ink. ISBN 978-186395-447-1. Dorothy Porter, The Bee Hut, Black Ink. ISBN 978-186395-446-4. Nathan Shepherdson, Apples with Human Skin, St. Lucia, Queensland, University of Queensland Press, ISBN 978-07022-3741-6. Alan Wearne, Guest Editor, The Best Australian Poetry 2009, University of Queensland Press, ISBN 978-07022-3736-2. Les Wicks, The Ambrosiacs, Island Press, Australia. Editor, Guide to Sydney Beach's Muse Press. Canada. Margaret Avison, Listening, The Last Poems, posthumously published. Robert Bringhurst, Selected Poems. Jan Khan, Botero's Beautiful Horses, Brick Books. Barry Dempster, Love Outlandish, Brick Books. Kate Eichhorn and Heather Milne, editors, Prismatic Publics, Innovative Canadian Women's Poetry and Poetics, Coach House Books, ISBN 978-155,245-221-9, an anthology of 15 poets, Nicole Brossard, Margaret Christakos, Susan Holbrook, Dorothy Trujillo Lusk, Karen McCormack, Daphne Marlatt, Erin Murr, M. Nerb C. Phillip, Kim Goldberg, Chris Hutchinson, Other People's Lives, Brick Books. Adina Karasik, Amuse Bouch. Douglas Lockhead, Looking into Trees. Jeanette Lines, The New Blue Distance. Susan Musgrave, When the World is Not Our Home, Selected Poems, 1985-2000. Soraya Pirbay, Poems for the Advisory Committee on Antarctic Names. Marguerite Pigeon, Inventory. Sina Quires Expressway, Coach House Books. James Rianey, The Essential James Rianey. Brian Bartlett, ed. Porcupine's Quill. Laisha Rossnow, Lousy Explorers, Nightwood Editions. Stephen Rowe, Never More There, Nightwood Editions. Carolyn Smart, Hooked, Brick Books. Carmine Starnino, This Way Out, Gasparo Press. Fred Waugh, Is a Door. David Zeroth, The Fly in Autumn, Harbor Publishing. India, Indian Poetry in English. Ivy Ramakisnan and Anju Makhija, editors, We Speak in Changing Languages, Indian Women Poets, 1992-2007, Anthology, New Delhi, Sahitya Akademi. Yash Sharma, Tale of a Virgin River, translated into English by Anil Sehgal from the original Dogri, released with a CD of 6 songs composed and sung by the poet's daughter, Seema Anil Sehgal, a prominent singer, published in Singapore. Eunice de Souza, A Necklace of Skulls, Collected Poems Poetry in English, New Delhi, Penguin. Arundhati Subramaniam, editor, Hot is the Moon, Poems and Stories of Women in Kannada, Tamil, Konkani, and Tulu, anthology in various languages, with translations into English, Mumbai, Sparrow. Adapana Goswami, We Called the River Red, Poetry in English, Authors Press. Ireland. Michael Cody, Going by Water, Old Castle, County Meath, Gallery Press. Ray Javans, Tolstoy in Love, 82 pages. ISBN 978-1906,614-89. Kerry Hardy, Only This Room, Old Castle, County Meath, Gallery Press. Ron Houchin, Museum Crows, 84 pages, Cliffs of Moher, County Clare. Dorothy Molloy, long-distance swimmer, 60 pages, Cliffs of Moher, County Clare, Salmon Press, ISBN 978-1907-5, posthumously published, died 2004. Paul Muldoon, Wayside Shrines, 40 pages, Oldcastle, County Meath, Gallery Press, ISBN 978-185235-479-4. Eilean Nightchulinane, The Sunfish, Oldcastle, County Meath, Gallery Press. Matthew Sweeney, Best of Irish Poetry 2010, Southward Editions, including work by Seamus Heaney, Michael Longley, Paul Muldoon, Michael McKim, Leanne O'Sullivan, Leansha Flynn, Eva Burke, and Kerry Hardy. Peggy O'Brien, Frog Spotting, 87 pages, Daedalus Press, ISBN 978-1906,614-65. Stephen Roger Powers, The Follower's Tale, 100 pages, Cliffs of Moher, County Clare. Gabrielle Rosenstock, Uttering Her Name, 126 pages, Cliffs of Moher, County Clare. A.E. Stringer, Human Costume, 100 pages, Cliffs of Moher, County Clare, Salmon Press, ISBN 978-1907-5. Enda Wiley, To Wake to This, Daedalus Press, ISBN 978-1906,614-11-9. New Zealand. Stephanie de Montauk, Vivid Familiar, Victoria University Press, ISBN 9780864735980. Jessica Labasse, Walking to Africa, Auckland University Press, ISBN 9781869404468. Tusiata Avia, Blood Clot, Victoria University Press, ISBN 9780864735935. Poets in Best New Zealand Poems. Poems from these 25 poets were selected by James Brown for Best New Zealand Poems 2008, published online this year. United Kingdom. James Byon, Blood/Sugar, ISBN 978-1906,570-29-3. Caroline Grigson, editor, The Life and Poems of N. Hunter, Haydn's Tuneful Voice. Hunter, 1742–1821. Wrote lyrics to much of Haydn's music. Liverpool University Press, Liverpool. English Texts and Studies, ISBN 978-184631-191-8. Brian Henry Quarantine, Contagion, ISBN 978-1906,570-13-2. Luke Kennard, The Migraine Hotel, Salt, 96 pages, ISBN 978-184,471-555-8. Herbert Lomas, A Casual Knack of Living, Collected Poems, contains all 9 of the author's previous poetry books and one previously unpublished book of poems, 428 pages. ISBN 978-1906,570-40-15. Sean O'Brien, Night Train with Artist Berkeley Aris, Flambard Press. Ruth Padel, Darwin, A Life in Poems. The author is his great-granddaughter. Christopher Reed, A Scattering 2009 Costa Book Awards Book of the Year. Matthew Welton, We Needed Coffee But. 96 pages, Carcanet Press, ISBN 978-184777-28. Anthologies in the United Kingdom. Gerard Caruthers, editor, Scottish Poems. Fiona Sampson, editor, A Century of Poetry Review, Carcanet Press, ISBN 978-184777-16-5. Criticism, Scholarship and Biography in the United Kingdom. Zachary Leader, editor, The Movement Reconsidered, Essays on Larkin, Amies, Gunn, and Their Contemporaries, Oxford University Press, April 2009. Contemporary Poetry, Poets and Poetry Since 1990, Cambridge Contexts in Literature, Cambridge University Press. First edition, ISBN 978-0521-71,248-4. United States. Anthologies in the United States. David Lehman, General Editor. David Wagoner, Editor. The Best American Poetry 2009. ISBN 978-07,432 9976, 3 September 2009. David Yezi, Editor, Swallow Anthology of New American Poets, University of Ohio Press, 2009, ISBN 080401121-4. Honor More Poems from the Women's Movement, April. Work from the 1960s, 1970s, and 1980s, Library of America. Meikle and Editor. Anthology Spider Tangle. Representative work of more than 50 visual poets. ISBN 978-14382 5818-8. Sexaxial Editions. Criticism, Scholarship and Biography in the United States. International Who's Who in Poetry 2009, Routledge, ISBN 978-185,743-483-5. Pierre Joris, Justifying the Margins, Salt Publishing, Cambridge, UK. Essays, Criticism via Poetics. Joshua Weiner, ed. 2009. At the Barriers, On the Poetry of Thom Gunn. University of Chicago Press. ISBN 978-0226-89043-2. Poets in the Best American Poetry 2009. These poets appeared in the Best American Poetry 2009 with David Lehman, General Editor, and David Wagoner, Guest Editor, who selected the poetry. Works published in other languages. French language. France. Emily Dickinson, Poesies Completes, translated from the original English by Francois Delphi Flammarion. Patrice Delberg, Editor. Elanie Poétique 2009, Poetry Year 2000. An Anthology. Dominique Sorrent, Pays sous les Continents, An Itinéraire Poétique 1978-2008, MLD. Jean-Max Tixier, Chance de l'Evidence, Publisher, Authors Temps, ISBN 978-284,521-338-8. French Poetry in Canada. Normand de Bellefeuille, Mon Nom, Publisher, Editions du Noroit, ISBN 978-289,018-655-2, a finalist for the Governor-General's Awards in French Poetry. René Lapierre, Trait de Physique, Publisher, Les Herbes Rouges, ISBN 978-289,419-281, a finalist for the Governor-General's Awards in French Poetry. Hélène Monette, Thérèse pour Joie et Orchestre, Publisher, Les Editions du Boreal, ISBN 978-27646-625-4, a finalist for the Governor-General's Awards in French Poetry. Philippe Moore, Bruelin's Pour un siècle abstrait, Publisher, Poets de Brous, ISBN 978-2923338-20, a finalist for the Governor-General's Awards in French Poetry. André Roy, Montreal, Les Espions de Dieu, publisher, Les Herbes Rouges, ISBN 978-289,419-282-5, a finalist for the Governor General's Awards in French Poetry. French Poetry in Switzerland. Marcus Hediger, and Decade de la Lumière, publisher, Editions de l'Air, ISBN 288-108-886-4. German. Christoph Buchwald, series editor, and Uljana Wolf, guest editor. Jahrbuch der Lyrik 2009, Yearbook of Poetry 2009, including poems by Christian Eidhinse, Herta Müller, Harold Hartung, Marcel Bayer, Frankfurt, Fischer S. 254 pages. ISBN 978-310-9655-5, an anthology. Christoph Janax, Die Zartlichkeit von Stacheln, Salzburg, Tandem edition. Daniel Falb, banker, Cookbooks, 64 pages, ISBN 978-3937445-39-7. Monica Rink, author, illustrator, and Andreas Topfer, illustrator. Helverwirrung/Rinks und Tierleben Gedicht and Zeichnungen Bright Confusion /Rinkthing and Animal Life, Poems and Drawings, Cookbooks, 200 pages. ISBN 978-3937445-37-3. André Rudolph, author, and Annette Kuhn, illustrator. Luglarm über den Paläste unserer Ristinnerlichkeit, Luxbooks, 130 pages. ISBN 978-3939557-96. Uljana Wolf, False Fund, Prosa Gedicht False Friends, Prose Poems, Cookbooks, 85 pages. ISBN 978-337,445-380. Greece. Phoebe Janissy Homrika, publisher, Kedros Editions. Christoph Janax, Zartlichkeit mit Stacheln. Gedicht zu Adalbert Stifter, The Tenderness of Quills, Poems by Adalbert Stifter, Salzburg, edition Tandem, 88 pages, ISBN 978-390-2000-606-17-4. Georgos Lilies, Bounds of the Labyrinth, publisher, Kedros Editions. Yanis Stigas, Isopolo Travma and Even Wound, publisher, Kedros Editions. Novelty Within or Beyond Language, an anthology of young Greek poets, Athens, Gavrielides Editions. Christos Chrysopoulos, E. Ale Laura, Another Laura, Criticism, Athens, Castaniotis. India. Listed in alphabetical order by first name. Bharat Majhai, Dho, Bhubaneswar, Timepass, India, Oriya language, K. Siva Reddy, Alavari Matram, Hyderabad, Pelapita Prachuranalu, Telugu language. Pratyush Gilari, editor and translator, Urvar Pradesh, New Delhi, Rajkamal Prakashan, ISBN 978-81-267-1812-2, Anthology of Poems translated from the original Himachali into Hindi. S. Joseph, Apante Kuval Varakanu, winner of a Thiruvananthapuram Book Fair Award for one of the 10 best books of this year, Kottayam, DC Books, ISBN 978-81-264-24. Teji Grover and Rustam Singh, Teji or Rustam Kai Kavateen, Venkatapu Satyam, translator, Antarjanam, translated into Kannada from the original Telugu of K. Siva Reddy, Bangalore, Kannada Prakashana. Nepal. Poland. Julius Erasm Bolek, Sense or. Tadeusz Dabrowski, Sardi Quadrat, winner of the 2009 Kasielski Foundation Prize, popularly known in Poland as the Nagroda Kasielskich, or Kosielski Award for works by Polish writers under 40 years old. Jerzy Jarniewicz, Makijes Make Up Rocklaw, Biuro Literackie. Ryszard Kreinecke, Wirs Wybrain, Krakow, Wydawnictwo Afiv. Piotr Sommer, Rano na Zimi. Wisława Szymborska, Tutage here. Eugenius Tkaczyn Dickey, Arzexawist I Nierzexawist Stage Jednym Silem. 111 Wiersi. Adam Zagajewski, Unseen Hand Niewidzialna Rika Krakow, Zinek. Portuguese language. Rosalia Dinal, Enquanto os Sinos Planjam, Poems in Many Different Styles, Brazil. Carlos Newton Jr., editor, O Cangaco na Poja Brasileira, Anthology, Brazil. Arminio Vieira, O Poema, A Viagem o Sanho, Portugal. Russia. Books of poetry were published this year by Igor Bilatovsky, Ilya Kucherov, Dmitry Grigoriev, Natalia Chernik, Alexei Porvin, Boris Kursansky, Alexander Myrnov, Gali Dana Singer, and Vadim Messiets. Other languages. Antonio Gamonda, Extravio en la Luz Lost in the Light, Madrid Casariego, 6 previously unpublished poems, ISBN 978-84-86768-4 Spain. Jorge Volpi, Oscuro Bosque Oscuro, novel in free verse, Spanish poetry language, Mexico. Raman Henry, Transandori, A Book of Poems, Bashachitra, Dhaka, Bangladesh. Toyo Shibata Kujiknade, Don't Lose Heart, Japan. Awards and honors. Awards announced this year. International. Golden Wreath of Poetry, Thomas Salomon, Slovenia. Australia Awards and honors. C. J. Dennis Prize for Poetry. Kenneth Slessor Prize for Poetry. Canada Awards and honors. Lampman Scott Award, David O'Meara, Noble Gas, Penny Black. Gerald Lampert Award, Keisha Grubizik, What If Red Ran Out. Griffin Poetry Prize, Canadian, A. F. Moritz for The Sentinel. Others on the shortlist, Kevin Connolly, Revolver, Jeremy Dodds, Crabwise to the Hounds. Griffin Poetry Prize, International, in the English language, C. D. Wright, Rising, Falling, Hovering. Others on the shortlist, Mick Law, The Lost Leader, Derek Mahon, Life on Earth, Dean Young, Primitive Mentor. Governor General's Award for English Language Poetry, David Z. Roth, The Fly in Autumn. Others on the shortlist, David McFadden, Be Calm, Honey, Philip Kevin Paul, Little Hunger, Sina Quires Expressway, Carmine Starnino, This Way Out. Governor General's Award for French Language Poetry, Helene Monette, Therese Bourgeois et Orchestre. Others on the shortlist, Normand de Bellefeuille, Mon Nom, René Lapierre, Trait de Physique, Philippe Moore, Bruelins pour Siècle Abstrait, André Roy, Les Espions de Dieu. Pat Lowther Award, Alice Major, The Office Tower Tales. Prix Elaine Grandois, Monique Deland, Miniatures, Belles Perdues et Autres Disorders. Dorothy Livesay Poetry Prize, Daphne Marlette, The Given. Prix Émile Nelligan, François Turcot, Cette Mason Est Pas la Mienne. New Zealand Awards and Honors. Prime Minister's Awards for Literary Achievement Poetry, Brian Turner. Montana New Zealand Book Awards. Poetry category winner, Jenny Bornhold, The Rocky Shore. Enza Jesse Meke Best First Book Award for Poetry, Everything Talks by Sam Sampson, Auckland University Press. United Kingdom Awards and Honors. Colmandelli Award, Bernard O'Donoghue, Alice Oswald, Fiona Sampson, Pauline Stainer. Costa Award, formerly Whitbread Awards for Poetry. Shortlist: David Cohen Prize, Seamus Heaney. English Association's Fellows Poetry Prizes. Eric Gregory Award for a collection of poems by a poet under the age of 30, Leesbury, James Brooks, Swithin Cooper, Alex McRae, Sam Riviere. Forward Poetry Prize. Best Collection, Don Patterson, Rain. Shortlist, Peter Porter, Christopher Reed, A Scattering. Best First Collection. Shortlist, Jerwood Alderberg First Collection Prize for Poetry. Shortlist, Manchester Poetry Prize. Michael Marks Awards for Poetry Pamphlets First Award, Elizabeth Burns, The Shortest Days. National Poet of Wales. National Poetry Competition 2008. T.S. Eliot Prize United Kingdom and Ireland. Jen Hadfield, Nine No Place. Shortlist announced in November 2008. The Times/Stephen Spender Prize for Poetry Translation. United States Awards and Honors. Agnes Lynch Starrett Poetry Prize awarded to Bobby C. Rogers for Paper Anniversary. AML Award for Poetry to Lance Larson for Backyard Alchemy. O.B. Hardison Junior Poetry Prize. Juliana Spar Judges, Claudia Rankine and Joshua Weiner. Lenore Marshall Poetry Prize, Linda Gregg. Los Angeles Times Book Prize, Brenda Hillman, Practical Water Wesleyan University Press. National Book Award for Poetry, Keith Waldrop for Transcendental Studies, a trilogy. National Book Critics Circle Award for Poetry, Ray Armentrout for Verse finalists, Louise Gluck, A Village Life, D. A. Powell, Chronic, Elena Ross Taylor Captive Voices, Rachel Zucker, Museum of Accidents. The New Criterion Poetry Prize, William Virgil Davis for Landscape and Journey. P.N. Award for Poetry and Translation, Marilyn Hacker for her translation from the French of King of 100 Horsemen by Marie Etienne. Pulitzer Prize for Poetry United States, W.S. Merwin for The Shadow of Sirius finalists Frank Bidart, Watching the Spring Festival and Ruth Stone, What Love Comes to, New and Selected Poems. Randall Jarrell Award in Poetry Criticism, Ange M. Linco. Ruth Lilly Poetry Prize, Fannie Howe. Wallace Stevens Award, Louise Gluck. Whiting Awards, Jericho Brown, J. Hopler, Joan Kane. From the Poetry Society of America. Frost Medal, X. J. Kennedy. Shelley Memorial Award, Ron Padgett and Gary Young. Judges, John Cove and Christopher Buckley. Writer Magazine/Emily Dickinson Award, Richard Robbins. Judge, Graham Faust. Lyric Poetry Award, Susan Kinsolving. Judge, Lucy Brock Broido. Lucille Medwick Memorial Award, Wayne Miller. Judge, Elizabeth Alexander. Finalist. Alice Faye Di Castagnola Award, Melissa Kwasny. Judge, Ed Robertson. Finalists. Louise Louis/Emily F. Bourne Student Poetry Award, Grace Dunham. Judge, Matthew Rora. Finalists. George Bodgen Memorial Award, Rusty Morrison. Judge, John Yao. Robert H. Winter Memorial Award, Elliot Connell Wilson. Judge, Henry Cole. Finalists. Cecil Hemley Memorial Award, Melissa Kwasny. Judge, May Maber-Senbrugge. Norma Farber First Book Award, Richard Deeming for Let's Not Call It Consequence. Judge, Martha Ronk. William Carlos Williams Award, Linda Gregg for All of Its Singing. Judge, James Longenbach. Finalists. From the Poetry Society of Virginia Student Poetry Contest. 2009 Student Poetry Contest winners. S3 category grades 5 and 6. First place Eloise H. Kelly, Edgecombe, Maine for the poem One Unique World. Second place Eliza Danery, Edgecombe, Maine for the poem Piano Images. Third place Cullen Kerner, Winchester, Virginia for the poem Benched. First honorable mention Graydon Nuck, Edgecombe, Maine for the poem The Bike. Second honorable mention Josephine Norris Cotton, Edgecombe, Maine for the poem A Cat's Personality. Third honorable mention Sophia Rose Carbonneau, Edgecombe, Maine for the poem Florida's Smiles 2009 Student Poetry Contest winners, S4 category grades 7 and 8. First place Nate Friant, Harbor, Maine for the poem November J. Second place Ashley Harris, MT. Kisco, NY for the poem Limes. Third place Emma Moorhead, Bath, Maine for the poem My Crayola. First honorable mention Lyre Russell, Richmond, Virginia for the poem Dogwood. Second honorable mention Amelia Nielsen, Aroostook, Maine for the poem Harvested 2009 Student Poetry Contest winners, S5 category grades 9 and 10. First place Cassandra Georgeley, Owings, Maryland for the poem Sun Dreams. Second place Kelsey Tripp, Roanoke, Virginia for the poem Clarity. Third place Alec Berry, Williamsburg, Virginia for the poem Golden Fried Love 2009 Student Poetry Contest winners, S6 category grades 11 and 12. First place Duncan Lyle, Mannequin Sabot. Second place Bianca Labarbina, Edison, New Jersey for the poem Haven. Third place Keenan Nathaniel Thompson, Richmond, Virginia for the poem Sunflower Angel. First honorable mention Brown Farenholt, Richmond, Virginia for the poem Your Temple. Second honorable mention Cara Wang, Saratoga, California for the poem Lunging 2009 Student Poetry Contest winners, S7 category Community College. First place Tyler Isley, Newport News, Virginia for the poem Warrior. Second place Linda Arnott Tucson, Arizona for the poem The Corpse at 2009 Student Poetry Contest winners, S8 category Undergraduate College. First place Nathan W. Friedman, Roanoke. Second place Nicole Fegias, Warrenton, Virginia for the poem Semantics. Third place Audrey Walls, Richmond, Virginia for the poem Piedmont Station 2009 Student Poetry Contest winners. First place Abby Hinchman, Edgecombe, Maine for the poem Where My Poems Hide. Second place Sophia Rose Carbonneau, Edgecombe, Maine for the poem How to Be in a Play. Third place Mara Eileen Anderson, Edgecombe, Maine for the poem Late Night Wing, an alphabet poem. First honorable mention Daniel Mayer, Walpole, Maine for the poem My Ascent and Descent. Second honorable mention Jacob Maxman, Nobleboro, Maine for the poem Holiday Helpers. Third honorable mention Virginia Hindman, Edgecombe, Maine for the poem Ignorance at 2009 Student Poetry Contest winners, Jenkins Prize. First place Kelsey Tripp, Roanoke, Virginia for the poem Suppressed Voice. Second place Michael Cardine, Warrington, Virginia for the poem Lost. Third place Robin Walters, Yorktown, Virginia for the poem For the Love of Book 2009 Student Poetry Contest winners. First place Brown Farenholt, Richmond, Virginia for the poem Henriettas. Second place Michael Cardine, Warrington, Virginia for the poem Lonely. Third place Michelle Moses, Virginia Beach, Virginia for the poem Novelty Love. First honorable mention Sam Perry. Second honorable mention Philip Halsey, Richmond, Virginia for the poem Spoiled. Third honorable mention Peter Chiappa, Yorktown, Virginia for the poem Sonnet 31. Awards and honors elsewhere. Poland. Gdynia Literary Prize for Poetry, Eugeniusz Tkaczyszyn-Dickey, Piosenka o Zalesniach i Zalesniach 2008. Nike Award for Literature, Eugeniusz Tkaczyszyn-Dickey, Piosenka o Zalesniach i Zalesniach. Portuguese Camões Prize, Arminio Vieira. Spain, Cervantes Prize, José Emilio Pacheco, Mexico. Deaths. Birth years linked to the corresponding year in poetry article. January 2 Inger Christensen, 73, born 1935, Danish poet, writer, novelist, essayist, and children's book author. January 4, Gert Jonck, 62, born 1946, Austrian poet, novelist, playwright, and screenwriter, of Cancer. January 10, Mario Augusto Rodriguez Velez, 92, born 1917, Panamanian journalist, essayist, dramatist, poet, and storyteller, of a heart ailment, surname Rodriguez Velez. January 11, Milan Rufus, 80, born 1928, Slovak poet and academic. January 12, Mick Imlah, 52, born 1956, British poet. January 13, W. D. Snodgrass, 83, born 1926, American poet and academic. January 15, Maurice Chapaz, 92, born 1916, Swiss, French-language poet, writer, and translator. January 18, Grigor Viru, 73, born 1935, a Moldovan poet writing in Romanian, strong promoter of the Romanian language in Moldova, died from a car accident. January 27, John Updike, 76, born 1932, American novelist, short story writer, essayist, poet, and writer. January 30, James Sheville, 88, born 1920, American poet, critic, playwright, and professor at San Francisco State and Brown University. February 4, Arnljot Eggen, born 1923, Norwegian poet, playwright, and author of children's books. February 5, Sabeddar Mahmud Mia Mohammed Imam, popularly known as Asim Randari, 104, born 1904, Indian, Gujarati language Ghazal poet. February 9, Kazis Brajunas, 91, Lithuanian poet and editor. Don McLennan, 80, born 1929, English-born South African poet, critic, and academic. February 13, Bahtiyar Vahabzade, born 1925, Azerbaijani poet, philologist. February 20, Christopher Nolan, 43, born 1965, Irish poet and author. February 23, Peter Wilde, 68, born 1940, American poet and historian, professor at the University of Arizona in Tucson. February 25, Bill Home, 65, born 1943, American poet, writer, and academic, from complications of pneumonia. March 4, Tristan Vintorn, born 1942, Norwegian poet and performance artist. March 12, Blanca Verla, 82, born 1926, Peruvian poet. March 13, James Purdy, 94, born 1914, American novelist, poet, and playwright. March 14, Gwendoline Coney, 70, born 1938, Zambian poet and politician. March 17, Jane May Hall, 90, born 1918, American poet and novelist. April 3, Alexei Parshchikov, 54, born 1954, Russian poet, critic, and translator. April 8, Henry Meskonik, 77, born 1932, French poet, linguist, translator, and theoretician. April 10, Deborah Digges, born 1950, American poet and academic. April 12, Franklin Rosemont, born 1943, American surrealist poet, labor historian, and co-founder of the Chicago Surrealist Group. April 13, Stefan Brecht, born 1924, 84, German-born American poet, critic, and scholar of theater. April 28, U. A. Fanthorpe, born 1929, 79, English poet. April 29, but date uncertain, Craig Arnold, born 1967, 41, American poet, fell climbing a volcano in Japan while collecting material for his next book. May 13, Bantu Mwara, 40, Kenyan human rights activist, actor, director, poet and storyteller who wrote poetry in English, Swahili, and Gikuyu. May 7. Robin Blaser, born 1925-83, American-born Canadian poet, Griffin Poetry Prize winner. May 10. James Kirkup, 91, English poet, translator, and travel writer, from a stroke. May 17. Mario Benedetti, 88, born 1920, Uruguayan poet, author, and journalist. May 22. Alexander Mezherov, 86, born 1923, Russian poet, translator, and critic. May 26. Doris Mooringer, 88, born 1920, Austrian poet, short story writer, and children's writer. May 31. Kamala Das, 75, born 1934, Indian short story writer and poet who wrote in English and Malayalam. June 3. David Bromwich, 75, born 1933, English-born Canadian poet who resided in California, winner of the Pushcart Prize. June 8. Harold Norse, 92, born 1916, American poet and memoirist. Considered among beat poets. Habib Tanvir, 85, born 1923, popular Hindi playwright, theater director, poet, and actor. June 24. Stephen Wells, 49, born 1960, English music critic, journalist, screenwriter, poet, novelist, film producer, and publisher. July 3. Aladdin Al-Azad, 77, born 1932, Bengali novelist, writer, poet, literary critic, and academic. August 6. Wayu Suleiman Rendra. August 8. Alfonso Calderon, 78, born 1930, Chilean poet, writer, memoirist, and poetry anthologist. August 16. Alastair Campbell, 84, born 1925, New Zealand poet, writer, and editor, and once the husband of fellow poet Florid Cock. August 19. Dick Jones, 75, Welsh poet. Lena Castagli, also spelled Lena Castagle, 88, born 1912, Greek poet and translator. August 27. Sergei Mikhalkov, 96, born 1913, Russian writer and poet, co-author of the lyrics of the national anthem of the Soviet Union and national anthem of Russia. September 3. Christine Deheen, 85, Belgian poet. September 11. Sarine Alexandrian, 82, French art historian, philosopher, and poet. Jim Carroll, 59, born 1949, American poet, author, and musician. September 15. Wayne Brown, 65, born 1944, Trinidadian writer and poet. September 27. Jayaprasad Tiwari, 89, Hindi poet in India and twice winner of the Hindi Sahitya Akademi Award, died after being hit by a train as he was crossing the tracks. Hard of hearing, he apparently did not hear the train coming. September 30. Rafael Arazarena, 86, Spanish writer and poet. October 1. Cintio Vitier, 88, Cuban. October 18. Lenore Candle, 77, American, died of lung cancer. November 1. Alda Marini, 78, Italian. November 15. Anna Mendelssohn, 61, British poet and political activist, brain tumor. December 10. Dilip Chitter, 71, born 1938, Indian writer who wrote in Marathi and English. He was also a painter and filmmaker. His Ekun Kavita, or collected poems, were published in the 1990s. His most famous translation is of the celebrated 17th century Marathi Bhakti poet Tukaram. December 20. Vera Rich, 73, born 1936, British poet, journalist, historian, and translator. December 24. Jim Chastain, 46, born 1963, American poet. December 24/25. Rachel Wetstein, 42, born 1967, American poet, poetry editor of the New Republic at the time of her death from suicide. December 26, Dennis Brutus, 85, born 1924, South African poet and anti-apartheid activist. He was imprisoned and incarcerated in the cell next to Nelson Mandela's on Robben Island from 1963 to 1965. December 30, Ruth Lilly, 94, American philanthropist Eli Lilly and Company established $100,000 Ruth Lilly Poetry Prize, donated $200 million to Poetry magazine.